There are three trends that I really loved last year. There was a big shift from launching new games to scaling already successful ones.
Democratize data, get it across the entire organization because more is better, sharing is great, but LiveOps data, now that's different. So who in the studio needs to have access to this?
We also seen that implementing and copycatting an event that is working for your competitors doesn't really work for a lot of companies.
Stan Minisaw, first of all, great to catch up with you. Of course, I would catch up with you at events like this. And I have to say, I'm a data geek and you've got some great data out. So why don't you give us a little bit of the surprise that you found in the data? Because you know your stuff. So if it's surprising to you, it'll be surprising for us.
Okay. First of all, likewise, a pleasure is mine, Peggy. Always fascinated to meet with you at different conferences. So regarding the data, there is a little insight or hint I might want to tell. So historically, we worked a lot with the companies launching new games. And something we've been talking a lot about is that don't try to copycat, because just trying to copycat already existing titles, successful titles, it will not help you at all. But what we also see as we doubled down on LiveOps last year and we explored a lot different events and different monetization techniques, we also seen that implementing and copycatting an event that is working for your competitors doesn't really work for a lot of companies, which is surprising because usually people think, okay, so my game is different, but I can just copy this event. It's like a week, maybe a 2-week event, and it will work for my audience as well.
Yeah.
Well, surprise, it doesn't. Because, you should really, first of all, explore whether or not other game companies in your niche or in your genre implemented the same type of event, because this is a lot of additional information you can gain. Maybe there were differences in how they tackled the target audience. Maybe there were differences in how these events boosted the revenue. This information already can give you enough insights and data in order to understand how to implement it the right way. And then, when you work with your audience, think about them first of all. What do they love? What do they don't love? What should you cater or change in this exact mechanic, or in this exact economy, or in this exact combination of events, so that it will shine bright in your game. So once again, copycatting doesn't really work both with launching new games and with using the events that already work with your competitors.
So I noticed that what you're looking at increasingly in the competitive space is also sort of the data around LiveOps, which is very unique. You know, we used to look at what campaigns are my competitors doing, but now that, games as a service is the norm, now we have to look at what are the live events my competitors are using, implementing, and how can I adapt that? But again, you need the data. What kind of data do you look at to do that?
Well, that's a great question. So you're totally right. There was a big shift from launching new games to scaling already successful ones. And we've seen it from the data. So there are less and less successful games coming to the say top 1,000 top grossing games in the niche. At the same time, we can see that the revenue is boosting while the downloads are not growing as much, which basically means that the games are doubling down on monetizing already existing player base. And this can be done with LiveOps and with monetization offers. In our case, what we really look into a combination of metrics that you can gain from the games, and we have information on revenue, downloads, on retention, be it short-term, mid-term, and long-term retention, and also user activity, because when we are talking about events, we do not talk only about data, we also talk about engagement, of course. But you also need to be really precise about what type of mechanics, gameplay mechanisms, economy, and core loops you introduce in the events. So you need some expertise in how the events work internally, not just like from the data perspective, but also from the industry perspective. That's why we pay a lot of attention. We basically have a methodology of our own, teaching new employees coming to us how to deconstruct the games, how to look at the things, how to extract the insights, like the pure gold that will be the most insightful and important, and in combination with the data, will help you to boost your ROI.
So we always talk about data, right? Democratize data, get it across the entire organization because more is better, sharing is great, but LiveOps data, now that's different. So who in the studio needs to have access to this? And is that your audience, or is it a matter of educating that particular audience to look at the data?
You'd be surprised, and I was surprised as well, but even among the top grossing game developers, there are a lot of teams and companies that do not really understand how to tackle LiveOps. They do not have dedicated teams. They do not have understanding of the process. They do not have Rails built for this to work. So in a lot of cases, yes, we have to educate the industry in some sense and say, hey, this is why you need us. Not just the solutions to your use cases, but hey guys, these are the problems and the challenges you are facing right now. You may not understand it at the moment, but you will in half a year or a year. And if you want to be on the competitive edge, you need to think about it right now. At the same time, bigger companies, they already have these teams established. And usually we are talking about either dedicated LiveOps managers, though this kind of beast is still rare in the industry, to be honest.
Or it's AI.
Oh, yeah.
That's an easy one.
Yeah. So maybe sometimes monetization managers, but in a more broader sense, product managers, producers, and classical game designers. Because usually these three, they think about LiveOps and about running the game as a service on a daily basis.
So you're looking at so many interesting LiveOps, and you have to look at a lot of examples because you had to get together the data. Leave us with something that was truly cool, truly pushing the envelope, something out there where it's like, yes, that's a good one. Or maybe it's something marketers didn't think about. Sometimes the easiest things are the coolest and best. Big problems don't always need to have a lot of money thrown at them, creativity.
That is true. I'd say there are 3 trends that I really loved last year.
Okay.
Yeah, in connection to LiveOps. So the first one is customizable events and offers. And we are not just talking about personalization of the price level. Say, I've got an offer for $7, you've got an offer for $5. We're talking about players being able to influence the outcome of the offer they get, either influence the price, or by playing the game, change the content of the offer they receive, or maybe choose the content of the offer and then paying for it. So it's some kind of a feeling of how you control the outcome. And it really shines. So we've seen companies introducing these type of offers and events, and the results were astonishing. So that's the first one. The second one, we've seen some of the companies running for 5 years or more, taking some of their older LiveOps events that were back, say, 2-3 years ago, brushing off the dust, updating it, and introducing once again. And some of them didn't work out, some of them worked brilliantly. So it's also about, if you've been in the industry for some time, maybe you've got something on your shelf lying there that might work in the current space for the current target audience, because it changes all the time. So that's the second one.
Okay.
And the third one, and we've seen a lot of these successful examples, reskins. What I mean by that is that if you, and this is just referring to what you've said, you do not really need very heavy investments when you want to tackle some problem connected to LiveOps. In some cases, you might find a good solution, say a working mechanic or a working event, and then using different visual shells catered to the same audience, and this gives a really good sense of novelty.
So a great hook and keep the creative going.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And you can use it for user acquisition as well, for retargeting as well. At the same time, it isn't heavy on the resources, on the development team, because what you need is a different visual shell with the same balance, with the same development, with the same code.
Makes sense. More is better. And you could just, it's wash, rinse, repeat, right?
Yeah,
Stan, I mean, that's what it is. Well, speaking of repeat, this has been great to see you again.
Absolutely.
Hopefully see you more often as well in the future. And love that report. Love the view. First time I've looked at LiveOps data. So keep doing what you're doing, Stan. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. It was a pleasure as well.
And of course, if you're tuning into In the Groove on YouTube, well, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. It will allow you to stay up to date with the series, and not only that, enjoy the pure gold of knowledge and insights our guests bring to every episode.